All right, welcome to part 9, I believe this is, of the mean stack front to back series. In the last video, we created our login functionality and log out. So basically, we can go ahead and log in, and it'll store the token and the user data that it gets from the server into our local storage, and we can also log out and basically clear out the local storage. So what we want to do now is we want to be able to make authenticated requests. So if you remember, our profile route in the back end is protected. You need to send along that token in order for you to be able to get back the data. All right. And the way that you do that is you send it in the header in the authentication or authorization, whatever it's called. So that's what we're going to do now. Okay. So let's go to. Let's see, trying to think of what I want to do. We have our profile here, which basically in the HTML is just profile works. We haven't added anything to it yet. We basically just generated the component. You can see the TS file is just a standard component. So let's go ahead and do the request. So we'll go to our authentication service, and let's go under the authenticate user. And let's call this get profile. Okay, and we're gonna copy the authenticate functionality here. Let's copy that. And let's change the endpoint to users profile. And this is going to be a get request, not a post request, so we'll change that to get. And then we want to get rid of the second parameter of user because we're not actually sending data. Okay, we're just getting it. Now if we just run this is just a standard get request. We're going to get that unauthorized, okay, because we need to send the token. So what I'm going to do is create an extra function down here called load token. And then what this is going to do is it's going to fetch it from local storage. Okay, and then we'll be able to run it up here and get that token. So let's do, let's see, const token, and we'll set that to local storage dot get item. And remember, we stored it in ID underscore token. Okay, and then we just want to set this dot auth token to that token we just pulled out of local storage. And remember, this .auth token is actually a class property right here, so we can access that from anywhere. So inside the get profile, we're going to put this, let's go right here and say this .load token. Okay, so now that we've done that, we now have access to this .auth token. Okay, because we just grabbed it from local storage, and since it's a class property, we can access it from anywhere. So now we just want to add an extra header here. So let's say headers dot append, and it's going to be the authorization. Okay, headers have different fields. For instance, the content type, which we set to JSON. Now we're setting authorization. And we're going to set that, actually we just need a comma there. We're going to set that to this dot auth token. I cannot type today. Okay, so we're sending the token with the header to the request, or to the endpoint. So I think that's all we need here. Yeah, it looks like it. So let's save that. And then let's go to our profile component. TS file, and we're going to bring in the auth service. So it's going to be, we're going to go up 2 levels, services, and we also want to bring in the router. What's that? Angular /router. Okay, and we need to inject those as dependencies. Okay, so this will be, let's see, router. Set that to router. Okay, so when we go to this profile component, which we need to create a route for, we're going to load the user when it initializes. So we want to put that in the ng on init. So we'll call this .auth service .get profile, which is the function we just created, and that's an observable. So we want to say subscribe, and then that's going to give us data, which we'll call profile, and then let's set this .user equal to profile.user. Okay, and we need to add user as a property, so up here let's say user, and we'll set that to be an object. Okay, let's see, and then let's do, if there's an error, for instance, if we're not authorized, then we can just add right here error, because it's an observable. Observables will also return an error or throw an error, and we'll just console.log, and let's return false. All right, so let's save that. Now let's create the profile HTML, so we'll go to that, and what we're going to do is we're going to say div, and we're going to add an ngIf, which is just an if directive, and we're going to make sure that there's a user before we actually load this. So we're just making sure that this value, this user, has been filled right here. Okay, so if there's a user, then let's say h2, we'll give it a class of page header, and let's put the user name in here, so user.name, and then we'll just put a UL with a class of list group, li with a class of list group item, and we're going to have one more of those. And we're just going to put the user's username, and also the email. Okay, so that's just, it's getting it from the request, so that should do it. Now let's go and add a route. So we need to go to our app.module.ts, and oh, we already have a route. Alright, so let's try it out. So we'll go and log in. Okay, we're logged in, and let's try to go to profile. And it works. Okay, we're fetching that from the server. Awesome. I really expected some errors. So let's put the profile link up in the navbar. So we'll go to navbar HTML. And let's see. We also want to link to the dashboard, so I'm going to copy this. And let's paste it in twice. Okay, so this one here will be dashboard. And then this will be profile. Alright, so let's try that. Okay, dashboard. Dashboard works. Profile. Cool. Now, obviously, we don't want this. Okay, this is very confusing because we're logged in and we're seeing login and register. That doesn't make sense. And then if we're logged out, we shouldn't be able to go to profile and stuff. All right, in fact, let's go ahead and log out, and we're able to go to dashboard. But notice if we go to profile, we don't have that data. That's because we're not sending the token, so we're not getting it. Now we want to take it a step further and actually not be able to go to these routes at all. We want to be redirected, and we also don't want to see them here. So to do that, we're going to create what's called an authentication guard, which is basically just a service where we can set some kind of logic and return either true or false, and then we can insert that into the route itself. Now we're going to install a module called Angular 2 JWT. In fact, let's look that up. And let's see, go to the GitHub page, and we only need to use a small part of this, which is right here. Okay, so we're going to import token not expired, and then we just want to create a function that will check if we're logged in, and it's going to just return token not expired. So it does everything behind the scenes. It's going to check to see if the token's valid and make sure that it hasn't expired. Okay, and then what we can do is we can put this into our routes, or not into our routes, but into our links, and make them show or hide depending on if we're logged in or not. Okay, and then we need to just basically use this can activate from our router, and then just put that in the route we want. Okay, so it's a little hard to explain, but I'll just show you. So I'm going to stop the Angular server real quick, and we're just going to make sure you're in your Angular source folder. Okay, and then we're going to do npm install Angular 2-jwt and then -- save. Okay, so that'll install the module. Okay, once that's done, we can go ahead and run ng-serve again. And now let's go to our auth service, and we're going to import that. Now the package we want to use is called token not expired, so that's what we're going to import. Okay, token not expired, and that's going to be from Angular 2 JWT. Whoop. And then we're just going to create a service function called logged in. Okay, and it's basically just going to check to see if we're logged in, or see if the token is there and make sure it's not expired. So let's say return token not expired. Okay, and that should do it. Makes things very easy. So now what we want to do is let's protect those links in the menu so they don't show when they're not supposed to. So we'll go to our Navbar HTML, and then these two links here, these two are, I hate how it goes out of the thing. Dashboard and profile, we only want those to show if we're logged in. So right here we're going to use an ng-if. So we're going to say ng-if auth service dot logged in, just like that. And then let's copy that, put it here as well, and then also for the log out, like that. Alright, so let's see if that works. Alright, so now we're not logged in, so we're not seeing those. Now let's go ahead and log in. Okay, and now we want to hide the register and login links if we are logged in. So let's go ahead and paste that same thing in, except we're going to put an exclamation right there and right there. So we're saying if we're not logged in, then show those. Okay, so now those are hidden. And home we just want to show no matter what. So now we just want to protect these routes, because if I log out, we can still go to dashboard, and we don't want that. So let's create our guard, and I like to create a separate folder for that. So in our app folder, in our app folder, let's say new folder, and we'll say guards, and we're going to create a file here called auth.guard.ts. Now this is going to be set up like a service, so we're going to import injectable. Actually, that should be an uppercase I. And that's going to be from Angular core. And we also want to bring in the router. Now we want to bring in the can activate, and that's going to help us protect our routes. What is that? Avigate? Activate. Can activate, and that's going to be from our router. Okay, and then we also want to bring in our auth service, because we need to test that. We need to use that logged in function that we created with the JWT module. So that'll be, let's see, /services. Okay. And let's put in our injectable, what is this called? Decorator. And then export class authguard. And we're going to say implements can activate. Okay. Let's see, we're going to add our constructor, and we need to inject our auth service and the router. Okay. And let's see, constructor isn't going to take anything. Then we want to do can activate, and this is where we put our logic for the route. So let's do if, and then we're going to go to the service, auth service dot logged in. Okay, so if that, then we want to return true, meaning we're logged in. Else, then we want to redirect. So this dot router dot navigate, and in here we want to put in our login route. Okay, and then we're just going to return false. And that should do it. So basically it's going to just check that logged in, which is this right here. We're using that token not expired. If it's not expired, we'll return true. If it is, then we're going to just redirect. Okay. So now we just need to go to our app.module, and we want to bring in the auth guard. So import auth guard, and that's going to be from /guards/auth.guard. Okay, so we bring that in, and then whatever route we want to protect, which is dashboard and profile, we're just going to add a parameter, and we're going to say can activate, set that to an array or just brackets, and then we're going to say auth guard. Okay, so any routes that you want to protect, that's all you have to do now. Okay, it makes it very simple. So let's save that, and hopefully that works. So let's see, we're not logged in, right? So let's go to /dashboard. Okay, so that didn't work. Let's see, looks like we're getting some kind of error. Let's see, rejected, no provider for, okay, so we just need to add authguard as a provider because it's in fact a service. So right here, authguard. Okay, so let's see, let's try it again. We'll go to /dashboard, brings us to login. If we go to /profile, brings us to login. Okay, but if we do log in, we can go to the dashboard and we can go to the profile. All right, so that's it. We now have our full authentication functionality. I'm just going to edit the dashboard HTML file. So in here, let's just put an h2 with the class page header. Dashboard. And then I'm just going to put a paragraph that says, welcome to your dashboard. Okay, so now we're up to speed. We've done everything up to the point where I showed you in the first video. And now we can go ahead and compile. So let's go back to our terminal, and I'm going to stop the Angular server. And then what we're going to do is just ng build. Okay, now before you run it, make sure that you set your, in the Angular CLI JSON, that you set the output directory to /public so that it goes right into the public folder. Okay, so let's go ahead and run that. And if we look at our core, our root folder here, now it should have public, and it should look like this. We have our index.html file and these bundled files. Okay, so now if we go to our localhost 3000, we get our application. Now there's one more line I want to add in the server, in the main app.js. So down at the bottom here, after the index, I want to make sure that every route, aside from the ones that we've specified, goes to that index.html file. So we want to do app.get, and in here we can just put an asterisk, which means basically everything, and then we can do request response. Let's see, request response, and in here let's do res.send file, and we'll use path.join, and we'll say the current directory _dir name, and then in here public/index.html. Okay, so any other route is going to get sent to that. Okay, so we'll save that, and everything should still work. We should be able to log in. Okay, we're logged in. Profile, that works. Good. Log out. So we now have a MeanStack application. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this series. Like I said before, I'm probably going to take it somewhere else. Maybe we'll add a blog, or I'm not exactly sure yet. I gotta do some thinking. But at least now you know how to create a MeanStack application, and that's it. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed, and thanks.